Okay, we'll call the order of the regular City Council meeting for Monday, May the 23rd, with a roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Here.
City Clerk Patterson here. Council members Ratty. Here. Lawson absent. Smith.
Here.
Kerrigan.
Here.
Schmidt. Absent. City Manager Carey.
Here.
City Attorney Adams, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Jack.
Thank you, sir.
If we'll all stand, and Pastor Phil Vanna from the Summit Christian Church.
And please bow your heads. Father, thank you for this day. Pray for those who are out today. I pray that they would be getting better, or if they are on vacation, I pray they'd be doing well and having a great time with their families. God, I thank you for the City Council. This is the way that they serve us, the citizens, and the way they're making Sparks a great city to live in, and the way they're taking care of us. And Father, I pray just as they honor the many of our public servants, I just pray for the police officers and the fire officers, just for the great ways that they serve our community, the ways they sacrifice and often risk their lives so that we can be safe, so that we can be secure in this great city. I pray that just as we honor them today, that they would be blessed and they would know that they're appreciated for all the sacrifices and things that they do for us. And God, I pray today just with the whole City Council, you give them wisdom for the decisions that they're making. I pray they would continue to find ways and be creative in how to make this place just a great place to live. And we just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Standing, please. Chet, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to mention today that I talked with Mayor Martini on Saturday after he was released from the hospital. He's feeling better, just a little weak, so he's going to take a couple days off. I'm sure he'll be with us next time, and he wants to thank everybody for their messages and their concerns about his health. So, but he's doing fine. Okay, comments from the public. I do have one card. John Howitt. Come on down, John. You have 3 minutes. Yes, and then make sure the microphone's on, too.
Yes, how's that? Hello, my name's John Howlett. I'm the president of the Reno Tahoe Aviation Association. It's my understanding today that you folks will be voting to confirm an appointee to the airport authority. One of the things that I wanted to come here and ask you to consider is that whoever gets appointed, the association would like you to talk with them to see what their viewpoint is on, is the airport in fact a public entity? 2, do they support an open and transparent form of government? Those are our principal considerations, and we'd like you to consider those things. And 3, will the appointee come back and discuss what's going on down the airport? We've talked to many of the candidates, and it's my understanding that Adam Mayberry's name will be put forward. Adam has assured me that these things will happen if he's appointed, and I just wanted to make sure that you understood what our concerns were. Any questions about anything?
Any questions for John?
No, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much, folks. It's been a long year and a half, and I appreciate each and every one of you and all you've done for the airport. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I don't have any more cards. Would anybody like to speak at this time? Okay, we'll bring it back to the council. And there was a request from myself to reconsider an action taken at the regular meeting of May 9th, 2011, regarding the item to terminate the agreement for the sale of treated effluent with D'Andrea Nevada Golf Club, LLC, and subsequently provide service under the terms and conditions, including rates and fees, set forth in Sparks Municipal Code 13.85, effluent service, with the exception of the infrastructure fee principal balance, which is addressed in a promissory note. Okay, we're looking for a motion to reconsider this later on in the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, approval of the agenda. Would
Move
anybody
to
like to
approve.
take anything out? Okay.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, we don't have any minutes, announcements and presentation, recognition items, and items of special interest. Click it or ticket. Who's gonna be the guy? Pat, come on down. I'll read this for you. All right. Okay. Whereas the safety and security of the citizens of Sparks and surrounding areas are vitally important, and whereas a large percentage of our citizens regularly drive or ride in motor vehicles on our roadways, and whereas the use of seatbelts in passenger vehicles saved an estimated 12,700 lives in 2009, and regular use of seatbelts is the single most effective way to protect people and to reduce fatalities in motor vehicle crashes, and whereas May 23rd through June 5th, 2011 has been selected as the National Click It or Ticket Mobilization Enforcement Period, and whereas across the country, law enforcement officers will actively be participating in the mobilization to ensure all motor vehicle occupants are buckled up day and night to reduce the risk of injury and death caused in traffic crashes, and whereas increased enforcement of seatbelt laws coupled with publicity has proven to be an effective method to increase seatbelt use rates and decrease fatal crashes. Now, therefore, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim May 23rd through June 5th, 2011, Click It or Ticket Mobilization, and urge all citizens to always wear seatbelts when driving or riding in our roadways.
Well, I'd like to thank the mayor, even though he's not here. I'm glad he's doing better and
He's
he's
listening.
back home. And I'd like to thank the city for their support. Obviously, in our line of work, we see a lot of tragedies on the roadways from people not wearing their seatbelts. Even though it's not a primary law here in the state of Nevada, we actually do have about a 92% compliance rate with people wearing their seatbelts. And this enforcement campaign helps us keep that percentage up high. And saving one life is worth it. And we appreciate the support from the city. And thank you.
Thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Is anybody here from the Kids Safe program? Okay, we'll move on then. Consent items. Anybody wish to take one out or make a motion?
I'll move to approve consent items 5.1 through 5.3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, general business. 6.1, which is Sean Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. This is the time and place for the City Council to receive the recommendation from the Mayor for the appointment to the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority Board of Trustees. This is a one term, which the current person, Mr. Joe Mayer's term, will expire on June 15, 2011. This is one vacancy, and the Mayor has conducted interviews based upon the applicants, and I believe, Mr. Smith, you're aware of his nomination.
Right, I talked to the Mayor on Saturday, and his nomination is Adam Mayberry. So we need a motion to confirm.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Adam. Thank you. You'll do a good job for us, I know. You want to say anything, Adam?
Yeah,
Would
can
you
I,
come on down?
Mayor Pro Tem, I wanted to ask Adam to put it on the record because some people may say that he doesn't have a background. Could you tell us where you graduated from and what your degree is, and have you ever worked for the Airport Authority before?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the Sparks City Council, Mr. Manager, Adam Mayberry, I think in this capacity I'm a Sparks resident, but I graduated from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University with a bachelor's degree in aviation, business administration, and I'm also a licensed pilot, and I have about 11 years experience with airport administration, including almost 5 years here at the Reno Tahoe International Airport. So my first love is aviation. It's a personal interest to me and something I'm glad to be back connected to a little bit, and I honestly appreciate the appointment and the ratification of it. Thank you.
You know, wait a second, Adam. Our last appointee, Mike, asked to have reports on a quarterly basis, Mike, and we'd like to do the same thing. And we know where to find you if you don't have that, but we'd like to keep updated on the goings on over there.
I'm acutely and cognitively aware of that. Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll have frequent updates.
Thank you.
I can assure you.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yes. Okay, 6.2, consideration of possible adoption of a resolution 3195 declaring a deed quitclaiming previously dedicated land of right-of-way to Union Pacific Railroad, the successor and heir of Southern Pacific Transportation Company, pursuant to NRS 268.050. Boy, that's a lot.
You'll have to ask Chet on that. Thank you, Council. For the record, John Erickson. The item before you today is, as Councilman Smith indicated, is a quitclaim of property that was dedicated back in April 25th of 1904 back to Union Pacific Railroad. Staff has determined that the city has no plans, either current or future, for public use of this right-of-way. That is the end of my presentation. I would answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Looking for a motion?
Do you have that?
Go ahead, yeah. Why don't I just do the motion?
Why don't you do
Okay.
the motion?
I move to adopt Resolution 3195, authorizing previously dedicated right-of-way to be in excess and quitclaim the dedication back to Union Pacific Railroad.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
6.3, Chief Keeper.
Kind of stuck in here.
You look short all of a
I
sudden.
know. I feel short. I feel little. Good afternoon, Council. Chief Steve Kiefer for the record. What I'm seeking today is approval for application for the COPS grant. We have already pre-applied, which is the same thing that we had to do at the last COPS grant. The final report is due this Wednesday, and there has been a few changes to this grant since the time we've applied and created this staff report. And two of the major changes is it's not 5 police officers that we'll be seeking. We're going to be recommending to you 2 officers. As in the 2009 Department of Justice grant that we were able to benefit from, there was no limit, and there were police departments across the country that would put in from anywhere from 200 officers to 1. We put in for 20 at that time and received 6. Or no, we put in for 10, I'm sorry, and received 6 officers. What they've done is they've put a cap on the total amount of the benefit for those 3 years, and it's very low. It's $500,000. Is the max you can get, or 5% of your total sworn. We first had information that it was 5% of total sworn, so that's why we went with 5 officers, and then in the meantime we learned that it's a $500,000 cap accumulating to 3 years. So our recommendation is 2 officers. It still would benefit the city until year 3. Year 3 would not be funded 100% through Department of Justice because we would be $71,000 short. So you need to understand where the last COPS grant, year 1, year 2, year 3 were funded 100%. This one would be year 1 and year 2, and then year 3 we would be $71,000 short. An alternative is to seek only 1 police officer But then we would be short of that $500,000 and seeking the benefit to the city of $220,000. So we're not quite in the middle, and there's still a lot of benefit with moving forward with 2 officers. All the same potential outcomes are the same as if we go into layoffs, we would reapply like we did last time with Department of Justice and ask for the approval to rehire officers. We don't know what thresholds that may be. We'd be successful, but as of right now, we're requesting 2 officers to add to the complement of our sworn staff.
Any questions? Chief, I thought last time in 2009, you put in for 10. Did you put in for 10 last time?
Yeah, 20. We were first kicking around 20,
no, you put in for 20.
We put in.
That's what I remember specifically that the council voted for 20, but I think you only put in for 10.
Right. And then we were approved 6. We ranked number 1 in the state of Nevada with all law enforcement agencies, and that was based off community policing plan, crime rate, and overall city economic conditions, and we ranked number 1.
So wouldn't you ask for 5? Hopefully you'll get 2. If you ask for 2, is there a chance you may get 1? Or
well, that is what we thought, and we were going to apply for 5. But the Department of Justice dollar amount thresholds is $500,000, not per year, but for the 3 years combined.
Okay.
So that's why it is now down to 2 officers. Otherwise, we would be putting in.
So that's
for
the
5.
max, right there.
Yes, that's a significant change to this grant.
It is a big change.
No, I think where Ron's going is if you put in for 5, we may get 2. If you put in for 2, you may get 1.
Right, but with the thresholds, we can't put in for 5 because the first year we would be $500,000.
No, but I mean, do we? If we put in for 5 and get 5, do we have to take the 5?
That's my point.
That's his point.
They won't even allow us to put in for 5 because the dollar amount's going to be
okay. So that
over because you can't just take it per
is
year.
3 over also? Is it
Yes.
for the whole 3-year period?
It's a 3-year period.
Yeah.
So you see, the grant that we received in 2009, that award was about $1.7 million.
Right.
But it was accumulating each year. So that's the path we were down. That's probably the confusion that was there. Is we thought it could be $500,000 per year, but it's $500,000 for all 3 years combined. So we will be $71,000 short, but not until the 3rd year if we move forward with 2 officers, and that's what I recommend.
Okay.
Well, so I'm just going to keep kicking this dead horse, but so it sounds to me like you can apply even knowing that you're short of money, because that's what you're recommending that we do is do 2 officers, and by year 3 we will have run out of money. So I think what the other 2 council members are suggesting that we go for 5 officers, and what we would be saying is we'd be putting some of that money in each year, but knowing we would be short by the time the whole thing finished, but then increase our odds to get the number 2?
Well,
and that's not how you understand the process.
If we put in for 5 and they accept 5,
Then
we're going to exhaust that money the first year, and the second year the city is going to need to expend $500,000 the second year.
No, but
that
Chief,
gets
do we have to
do we
take
have
the
to
5?
take them?
That's the point. Remember the last time, the reason and I know specifically about the 20 because I voted no on that because I thought 20, I said, what are we going to do if we get 20? Because that grant was different because if you had to hire, how many they allotted you?
Right.
This one doesn't seem that way.
I imagine you could. Let me ask Carl. I think we just wouldn't even be eligible for it. Would we be eligible to apply for 5?
If we were to apply for the 5 officers, we would, as the chief explained, expend the entire grant in the first year. Then you would be on the hook to pay for the grant in year 2, in year 3, and then the 12 months beyond that.
No, I understand.
Okay.
I understand that it's $500,000 for how many officers we have for 3 years, right?
Right.
What we're trying to do is hedge our bets up here. You know, in other words, if you ask for 5 and they give you 2.
So if you apply for 5, do you have to take all 5? That is really the critical
That's
question.
the question.
It's my understanding that you would be required to hire all 5 people or provide some kind of
Okay. Well, then that makes it easy. Okay.
That answers the question. So I would make a motion to support the application for the U.S. DOG 2011 COPS grant to fund up to 2 new police officers.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Carey.
Just wanted to thank Chief Kiefer and Carl for their hard work on these grants. I think that the police department does an outstanding job responding to these applications which come out quickly from the Department of Justice. And I know this one's well written, and hopefully we'll get the 2 officers we're seeking. But wanted to extend a public thanks to the team and the police department, especially Carl and Chief Kiefer for putting this together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
6.4, consideration and possible approval to award street sweeping schedule and routine bid number 1011-009 to Contract Sweeping Services Incorporated at the rate of $15 a mile. Why don't you throw that chair away? Everybody's down.
I feel like I'm sitting at the big kids table.
It's off.
Oh,
No, it's on.
I feel like I'm sitting at the big kids table for the first time. For the record, Neil Kurtz, Director of Community Services, and I would respectfully ask the council to continue this item to their first meeting in June.
Okay,
Well,
so much for that.
I was going to make a motion to continue it, but with a caveat. So I'd like to get that caveat on the record.
Okay, Julia.
So I was going to vote no on this proposal if we didn't continue it, and my concern is that in the conversations that we had about outsourcing early on, that we had talked about taking the savings and being able to redirect that savings into improving services elsewhere in the city. So I'm concerned about the layoffs of the 2 staff members that are associated with this proposal, and I'd like to continue it with direction to the city manager to reconsider the layoffs.
Is that a motion?
That would be a motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor to continue this item with the caveat that Councilwoman Ratty pointed out? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we here? That was 6.4. Okay, 6.5, reconsideration and possible approval to terminate the agreement for the sale of treated effluent with DeAndrea Nevada Golf Club, LLC, and subsequently provide service under the terms and conditions, including rates and fees set forth in Sparks Municipal Code 13.85, effluent service, and the exception of the infrastructure fee principal balance, which is addressed in the promissory note. Mr. Kreutz.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. For the record, Neil Kurtz, Director of Community Services, here today asking for your reconsideration on this item. You did hear it 2 weeks ago, and the long and the short of the item is to terminate the existing contract that we have with DeAndrea, moving them over to the standard water rate. It would include a substantial increase in the per 1,000-gallon basis. Right now, they enjoy a 66-cent per 1,000-gallon rate, and they would be moving up to the 96-cent rate, which would put them in a customer class with the vast majority of our customers. And in exchange for doing that, we have offered a promissory note to essentially refinance the infrastructure fee over a new 20-year period at the same 4% rate they had before. So while they would be experiencing an increase in the water rate in joining the class with all the other customers, they would see their infrastructure component rate come down slightly. The net result of those two actions, those two offsetting actions, is an anticipated increase based on historic water use of about $50,000 a year. Staff has struggled with DeAndrea and seeing them make payments on time and having a separate administrative system via the contract is costing us some additional work. So that there are really two things behind staff's desire to do this. The first is to treat all customers in the same class equally, which we feel we'd be doing by moving them to the municipal code rate. And then the second is to make a little more efficient use of our time, having them in the same rate so that we can track things just like we track with all of our other customers. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Neil, you said that the golf course is currently arrears $6,371.03.
And that since the publication of a staff report, they have come current.
Okay, so were they in arrears, or was that a payment, a monthly payment, or what exactly was that?
They have, historically gone into arrears on making payments for their water. We send them monthly bills, and certainly their highest usage months are July, August, and then into September, weather permitting. And that's where we have seen over time that they have struggled to make those payments.
But this is not a late payment. This is a payment being made current.
they are current with their payments as of today. They made that $6,000 payment either last Thursday or last Friday to come current.
Okay. Any questions for Neil? Mr. Jory, would you come down? I'd like to ask you a few questions. Yes, sit down there and
you can sit in the big kid's chair.
Turn the microphone on and give us your name for the record.
My name is Michael Jory.
And what do you do for DeAndrea?
Actually, I'm a VP of operations for our management company. But I was formerly the general manager at the property for the last 6 years. I've been there for 11 years this August, associated with the property.
Well, at the heart of this is the 66 cents for 1,000 gallons of fluent water, and the amount that DeAndrea has been in arrears has been up to as much as $120,000. And I know they met with in December, January.
December
to come to a deal,
is when
and they
we
gave
struck the deal.
DeAndrea 4 months to pay off that bill. But in that contract, they also said we're going to raise your rates to 96 cents. Were you aware of that?
I was aware of that. I didn't sign the agreement, but I was aware of that. That was if we failed to pay. I thought that it wasn't going to be raised unless we failed to pay the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Our business is very dependent on weather. As you know, we've been having some challenges with weather this season. I mean, right now we're in our cash flow months. We don't anticipate, falling behind on our affluent bill. It's a high priority with the ownership, and we really plan on being current with our affluent billing.
Okay. How about the 96-cent rate, an additional $50,000 a year in water bills?
We've cut $300,000 out of our maintenance budget over the last 3 years. $100,000 each year we've cut just to make ends meet. As you know, it's a very challenging economy. Golf is something that people don't. It's not a necessity, and it's a very challenging business. There's too much product in this area. That $50,000 is going to make a big difference to us. Believe me. I mean, it's. For us, any business really, but for us especially, people don't have to play golf. And, we feel like that's going to hurt us.
Okay.
It's a lot of money for us.
It is a lot of money to anybody, especially in this time. Any questions?
I have a question.
Julia?
So in the staff report, it says in December 2010, DeAndrea agreed to termination of their contract for service, renegotiation of their infrastructure fee payment, and subjecting the terms and conditions of their affluent service to ordinance. And then it goes on to say that the new promissory note for repayment of their outstanding infrastructure fee principal over a new term is 20-year term is complete pending signature. So I guess, Neil, this is my question for you. So the promissory note is complete pending signature, but the agreement to raise the rate from 66, because I was under the impression that DeAndrea had already agreed to that rate increase.
And as was I. That was the agreement that we reached last December. So that's where Mr. Jory and I think, have a difference of opinion. But
is that in writing someplace?
No, it was in a meeting that took place. Well, maybe it is. Can you?
If I may.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
We met with a representative from Synergy Golf in December.
Cheryl, give your name.
I'm sorry, Cheryl Lighting, City Attorney's Office. We met with a representative from Synergy Golf. It wasn't Mr. Jory, and we explained to them because not only did they quit making payments in 2010, but they quit making payments in 2009, and that was the year they got approximately $120,000 in arrears. In 2009, we had said, this happens again. We're looking at termination. It happened again in 2010, and they were in $89,000 in arrears. And at that point, the agreement was, we'll switch you over to ordinance. All ordinances, everybody under ordinance is charged 96 cents a 1,000 gallons.
Per 1,000 gallons.
Per 1,000
Yes.
gallon rate. That's the standard that's set by ordinance and reviewed by council. At that point, that was the agreement, and we agreed to take the infrastructure fee, which is also part of the original contract that was signed back in 2001, and then refinance the infrastructure fee.
How many people do we have paying on the infrastructure?
Paying on the infrastructure?
How How many people, how many businesses or golf courses that are on the affluent system are still paying for infrastructure?
I'd say Kylie, Hopco,
Wild Creek.
no, customers in general.
40. How many customers do we have? Okay.
So the difficult has been, and no fault of Mr. Jory's, but during the highest usage, the bill quits being paid, and then the city's left with a $120,000 debt in 09, and then in 2010 it was almost $90,000. And it is not until staff starts calling and
So can I finish the resolution of the question of whether or not they really agreed to this? So is the document sitting in front of you signed by Red Hawk, I'm sorry, oops, by Andrea saying that they agreed to it?
It is not. What it is a letter that we sent as a follow-up to that meeting where they agreed, notifying them to the terms of the agreement.
Okay, so it's a summary of the meeting that,
Yes.
where the agreement?
Yes, it is.
Was, okay. That makes some sense. Okay.
Mr. Kerrigan.
Mr. Cruz, how many people, or how many organizations are paying the 96 cents?
I want to say.
Why don't you come on up, because I'm not sure who you are.
For the record, Trish Gill, Senior Administrative Analyst for I work at the Finance Department now. So I want to say 95% approximately of our customers.
Okay, so 95% of our customers are paying the 96 cents as per ordinance. And how come the other 5% aren't paying the 96 cents?
They are customers that came on very early in the program, before we had a program in the municipal code, and we structured deals with each of those as we brought them on, and then implemented the program that exists in Title 13, actually about 5 years after we signed DeAndrea up.
So they're grandfathers is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Once again, I just want to bring up this is the fairness issue, that if 95% are paying that. We had a chance to change this ordinance when we voted on it. We could have gone down to 66 cents then, but I think it was staff that brought it forward with that amount.
Yes.
Because that's what we could run the system on.
Yes.
I just want to point out to everybody, I don't like paying the $80-something I pay for my sewer bill. Thought I'd bring that up. So do I have to pay it next quarter? I guess I don't, and then you put a lien on my house. So what I'm saying is that it is what it is as far as rates go, and I think if we don't like the rates, then we should look at our ordinance instead of doing what we're doing right now. So.
Okay, follow up on that. I know that when I was on the board of Tumwater, we were going to raise the water rates, and there was enough screaming and yelling that we decided to wait a year, give them a year to let them know what we were going to do instead of doing it at the point. And it was about a year time. I don't have any problem with raising the rates on everybody at one time, but I'd like to see us wait a year or two until the economy turns around, and then get everybody up to speed on the same rates. Then we won't ever have this argument again. Now I don't know if we can change that motion or we have to go with the original motion, I would imagine. Yeah. Okay. But I think that'd be the fair way to do it. I'm not trying to give somebody a better deal than somebody else, but they were one of the first ones on the system, as well as Wild Creek, who pay their bills with public funds. These are private funds. So, and that's all I have to say. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to make sure that I understand the process. You're saying we must stick with, on a reconsideration, we are only reconsidering the motion, the original motion.
The original agenda item.
But the motion could be anything.
To take them off the contract and put them on ordinance.
That is correct. The motion can be anything. You've got to, and I apologize. I misunderstood what you were saying, sir.
Okay.
But you can make any motion that you want, as long as you're looking at the original agenda item that you're reconsidering today.
Okay.
So I'm going to move to make the same motion as we had last time, which is to terminate the agreement for the sale of treated effluent.
Okay.
And to move into ordinance.
And to move to ordinance.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
So then there could be another.
So it reverts back.
Done.
There could be another motion,
It could be another motion. It could be
Or
another reconsideration down the road, if you want to.
right? Okay, so it lives at this point.
It still lives. I mean, well, the motion has died that was just made.
Mhm.
You can make another motion in hopes that it'll pass. Or if it dies tonight, you can make yet
Bring it
another
back.
request
Right,
for
so to bring it
reconsideration.
back, it would have to be the prevailing side from the last vote.
No, it's from tonight. You're voting on it anew.
It died.
So it died
There
and
was
it's
no prevailing
dead,
side.
because we don't have a majority.
You do not have a majority.
So it
Correct.
dies.
It's gone.
And it's not
Under
going to be
those
able to come back
circumstances.
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to try another motion? Okay.
Well, can we try another motion?
Yes, you can.
Mr. Kerrigan, would you like to make another motion?
No.
Okay, I'll try something. I'll make another motion that in a year, we raise everybody up to the 96-cent level. Oh, can't do that.
You can't make that motion. That's a whole new agenda.
Okay, then we won't do anything. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Carey.
Just as something I think you could do, you could move for the approval of this agreement to take effect at a date in the future. My suggestion would be to give the company a little more time to work towards this agreement's effective date. You might want to make that October 1st, and that would give them about 10 months of notice.
Neil?
If I might offer, the existing contract that we have with Chandria has a clause in it where the rate for the water can be renegotiated at 5-year intervals. We hit our second 5-year interval in July of this month. So from my perspective is if you want to see the existing contract continue, to not take any action then and allow us to renegotiate that water rate this summer per the existing contract that we have.
I think it's too late for that, isn't it?
No,
They're
no,
staying
you-
under contract because we didn't pass the motion to get them.
Right, so the
Okay,
contract
we
still
didn't take
is.
them off a contract and move them to ordinance, so
No, you did
you're
not.
free to do whatever you want to do.
That's right, and so I guess what I'm asking is for you to leave it that way.
Okay, I can leave it alone.
Okay.
Anybody else?
And it's certainly, from a staff perspective, it would have been our preference to move them to ordinance. Understanding that's not
I
your
have
direction.
One other follow-up. So what I heard is let's get everybody on the same rate.
Yes.
So how many others are there not on this rate?
Less than a handful, a small handful.
See, I thought it was only 2. That's what we were
And it
told.
could be, it could be.
So I'd like to request, rather than you trying to do it off the top of your head, I'd like to request for a future meeting a report on who's still left on contract.
Be happy to do that.
Because Councilman Smith suggested that at the point in the future, we bring everybody onto ordinance on the same rate. And I'd just like to know, who else is out there on contract, what are they paying, and is there something that we should be doing about
We'll
it?
be happy to do that. And one other piece of information I'll offer is that we've spoken to you previously about studying our sanitary sewer rates starting later this year. We will be studying actually our effluent as part of that package. We'll be studying all of our sewer and storm drain rates, and certainly looking to, at that point in time, have an improved level of equity over what we have now. But between now and then, we will update you on essentially who's paying what.
Great, thank you.
I have a suspicion that we'll find out who's paying the 96 cents shortly.
I will tell
We
you
already
that
know.
after the Tuesday morning after our last meeting, my phone rang several times.
Okay. 6.6, possible motion to adjourn to a closed-door session. Do we need to do that, Mr. Attorney?
You do need to make that motion, however, you can defer meeting until after
the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we go into closed session after our close of our redevelopment meeting.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Move to 8.1.
Look at your atrocious spelling and use of words.
Public hearing, PCN 11004. Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Good afternoon. quick note on the agenda, the PCN in the agenda is PCN 10020. However, the correct PCN number, which is reflected correctly on the staff report, is PCN 11004. So again, PCN 11004. This is a request from Wild Creek Golf Villas for tentative and final approval of an amendment to the Wild Creek Golf Villas Plan Development Handbook. Phases 2 and 3 of the development have been constructed. Phase 3 has suffered as a result of the economic downturn. We now have a developer who has the capital and is continuing to purchase the properties that have not been developed. What we've come to find is that with the adoption of the 2006 building codes, that some of the fire and building safety requirements are more strict than previous codes. What that does is it adds additional cost to the developer, and it also affects the architecture of the buildings. In conjunction with staff and the developer, we've sat down and essentially came up with the idea to amend the handbook to reduce the setbacks that are internal to the project. The roads within the development are all private, and we believe that in reducing those setback requirements, that they would give them the ability to move the houses around slightly, and it would be just enough to avoid having to comply with those fire separation requirements between the residences. And so that's the purpose behind this amendment. Subsequent to this, you'll see at a later meeting, you'll see a new final map for this subdivision that will actually change those property lines and change the locations of those building pads. This is simply just the handbook amendment to allow that new map to be recorded. With that, I'd ask the city clerk to insert the findings in the record at this time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Mr. Kerrigan.
So you're saying the only setbacks are internal? So in other words, the private roads are going to have less setback, and what is it going to be from 10 feet to what? I can't remember.
It varies. I think the minimum setback is in the neighborhood of 7 feet. I mean, we're talking a couple of feet in most cases to move some of these pads around that would alleviate this the expense of having to meet those code requirements.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open up the public. Would anybody like to speak? See no one, we'll bring it back to the council. Look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make it.
Okay.
Move to grant tentative and final approval for amendment to the Wild Creek Golf Villas Plan Development Handbook associated with PCN 11004.
11004, that is correct.
Okay. Based on findings PD 1 through PD 21 and the facts supporting these findings is set forth in the staff report.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second by Councilwoman Ratty. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And I guess we go to comments from the council. Manager? Okay, I'm looking for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll open the Sparks redevelopment meeting of Monday, May the 23rd with a roll call, please.
Chairman Smith?
Here.
Agency Secretary Patterson here. Agency members Ratty?
Here.
Lawson absent. Martini absent. Kerrigan?
Here.
Schmidt absent. Chief Administrative Officer Carey?
Here.
Agency Attorney Adams?
Here.
We do not have a quorum.
Okay, so do we just adjourn? Is that what we do? Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you.